Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it's finally time that I can showcase a little bit of Boltgun. Yes, this is the Warhammer 40,000 boomer shooter that many people have been waiting for. The embargo is literally on the day of release, which is something that I'm not really used to, but hey, let's just jump right in, because I've been having a bit of fun with this. So what is Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun? Well, many people describe it as a boomer shooter. I say that it's part of my childhood. You see, I grew up in the 90s where games actually did look like this. So not only did the trailer, the announcement, and all the gameplay that they showcased really take me back, but it was also quite interesting to realize that, yeah, we didn't really have a lot of Warhammer games back in the day. We got some in the future, but they weren't great. But Boltgun has that, inspiration from early games like Doom and so on, and I just knew I had to play it the moment I saw it. In this game you'll be playing as a Stern Guard veteran, and you've got a few different difficulty options. You've got low, medium, hard, and exterminatus, which I've played with a few of them. Mostly on medium, just to kind of see how the game is, as sometimes, especially when I'm just checking out a game for the first time, I just relax, drink a coffee, and, well, just do as much damage as possible. And this is definitely the game that is going to allow you to do so. The main idea for this video is to provide context, but no spoilers. Anything that is a spoiler will have some sort of spoiler tag, but I'm trying to keep it as minimal as possible, so you guys can jump right in today and have as much fun as you can. With that being said, let's just show off one cinematic, because it's kind of cool.
Nothing, once touched by the hand of chaos, remains untainted. You are under the dominion of the Ordo Malleus to assist my investigations into a world that has already felt that fell influence. Graia has been under the close watch of the Inquisition since the Grim Skull War. The Forge world remains largely secure, but we have picked up concerning energy readings in the surrounding system. I have my suspicions, although we have not had sufficient time to pinpoint the origin of these foul energies. While most of the planet remains unaffected, it is my belief that rogue elements within the Adeptus Mechanicus may have been experimenting with a surviving fragment of Inquisitor Drogon's power source. Your mission is to assist me in locating a fragment of the power source. While I consider this threat extremely serious, your superiors have seen fit to second only a handful of you to my supervision. In the absence of a larger force, we should pray to the Emperor that this does not develop into a more dire situation. This servo skull will guide you. In Commodus here is one of the few sanctified and preserved from the purging of Drogon's heretical archives. Together, you will search sites where communication has become sporadic. Should you encounter any opposition, you may assume they have been tainted by the ruinous powers. Suffer not the heretic to live. While I continue my investigations aboard the Crown, you will be deployed to a habitation zone we lost contact with several cycles ago. You should assume the situation to be extremely hostile. Beware, we do not know how far the taint of the arch-enemy spreads.
Okay, let's be very honest there, that was freaking awesome. Now, this is a mission at the beginning of your campaign. As far as I've been told, the story is around 8 to 10 hours long, and I'm not going to just go from the early stuff. We're going to go for something a little bit later on, don't you worry. But already huge 90s vibes there, and I'm feeling absolutely nostalgic. Gameplay is super solid from what I've been playing. I've not really encountered any bugs as far as I'm aware, but yeah. This is a typical story progression game, so don't expect, side missions and stuff. There are secrets to find, and they're hidden around all the different maps. So you're going to have to really look for them if you're trying to find them. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're a little bit harder to find. But in terms of all your missions, it's very much get started, go there. As you progress, you'll unlock new weaponry, you'll start to face new enemies. The scenery will change quite a bit too, don't you worry. It's not all the same palette. Like, for example, a lot of the early 90 games, which were running on, well, you know, like the games were really tiny back then. The production was obviously much smaller. This is just, honest to goodness, it feels like a Warhammer game. It feels like the Warhammer game I always wanted in the 90s. So it's great. I've got to say, the progression feels absolutely fantastic. Once again, like a 90s game where you'll notice the power-up. Like, for example, here, you know, I'll be getting my bolter straight after during this mission, which will mean I don't have to fight too much on melee anymore, but melee is still one of those things that you can use often. It's always on the V button, as far as I'm aware. I must admit, I haven't unlocked every weapon just yet, as I plan to do a fresh run on stream today on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges if you want to pop by. But everything from cinematics to feel to the background music, everything feels like early 90s to late 90s Warhammer 40,000. So if you're an old school fan, if you used to play the miniatures, or if you were just hoping for a video game just like this might definitely be for you. And yes, I know I do sound quite surprised, but considering how Warhammer games have been releasing, not just in the past, but in the very recent present, I was kind of worried. Mind you, I did think, well, you know, this is 90s format, it's kind of hard to mess that up, but we've seen other studios try to do a 90s format game and have, well, caused a lot of issues. I'm imagining that the game is fully complete, which means that when this game officially goes live for you guys, you'll be on the same build that I was in, because I didn't have to download a beta build, which is actually very, very surprising, and is actually what made me much more interested in this game. It's the first time that I've been granted access to a game from the publishers, or well, just in general, where I didn't have to download a separate branch, which would have been a different build to what most people would have gotten. I know this doesn't mean a lot to most of you guys, but believe me, as a creator, this actually bodes fairly well. How many times have you seen, for example, a creator playing something and then the live build is nothing like what they had? You know, there was loads of bugs and so on. So yeah, 10 points for this. I'm actually quite happy. Obviously, I don't do a review system as in points, but metaphorically, you know? The guns are super satisfying to use. I think it's mostly because of the sound design. It is just so good. It actually sounds what we imagine a bolter to sound like, and that's obviously great, you know, because really you're not seeing a lot of animations in these types of games, and animations isn't everything. I think Boltgun is one of those games which really shows that you don't need like hyper-realistic graphics and massive amount of animations and stuff like that to make a good game. That's all we want, especially for Warhammer fans. Most of us really just want a good game, and that's the most important thing. By the way, if you're wondering why my character's moving so fast, it's not editing or anything. It's literally just I'm running on sprinting constantly because I was trying to find some stuff. I was trying to obviously capture some footage and just see as much of the game as possible. I'll have my own personal run soon where I can just relax and take it easy. There's also sometimes that you'll see me jumping around nonsensically. That's mostly because I was just trying to find anything that I could, any secrets and so on, because there are power-ups and they are relatively useful. Anyways, enemy design. There's a lot of enemies, actually. You can get a lot of different types. Again, as you progress through the story, you'll start to see more. At the beginning, you'll start seeing some cultists, some with autoguns, some with basic stubbers, and it'll get more. You'll start to see Chaos Warriors, you'll start to see Pink Horrors, and one thing that I find absolutely amazing, which is an incredible point of detail here, is the Pink Horrors, when they die, they split into two blues. I know, again, this does not mean a lot to people, but this is a big lore thing. We know this from various different interpretations of the lore, and it's great to see it in video games. I really wish we could see this more often in video games, because it's something that is very well known. The Flamers hit very, very hard. Plague Toads, you get two different types. You get the lesser ones, and then you get the really big ones. Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Terminators, and really, it's great to see more and more enemies appear as time progresses. I'm an absolute big fan of this. I really enjoy what I'm seeing, and this is potential. This is potential. I've never heard of this game studio prior to this game, and they've impressed me. They have incredibly impressed me, Because let's be honest, how many other times have we seen games for Warhammer, like for example Necromunda and stuff, which just promised the world, and really we didn't get that. Whereas this game was just basically promising, yeah, we're gonna do a 90s boomer shooter, and it's definitely a 90s boomer shooter. There are loads of enemies in all the rooms that I've been to. As you can see, it's pretty high in terms of enemy count. I'm fighting my way through everything. I've already got my access to my shotgun, so I'm able to do a decent amount of damage here. It does spread, it does do quite decent AoE damage, essentially, well, anything in the front arc. And even then, the enemies need to be tightly together. You can't just do it like an old school boomer shooter where you just fire and the whole room would get shot, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, I kind of failed a few times trying to pick up that secret. I don't know what I did wrong there. I mean, I managed to get it after when I was doing like my own playthrough, but I'm not the most competent with these games. I was never really into shooters, barring playing a little bit of Doom, obviously Medal of Honor and stuff like that. That was way back in those days. Obviously now I'm more focused on like Total War, Grand Strategy and stuff like that. But this, again, really brought back some childhood memories. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. It's definitely a game that I want to see expanded upon. I don't know if they've got plans for like future content packs for this, maybe another story and so on, or if they're just gonna like one and done it. But I would love to see more. I would love to see what this studio can do, even if it's other games, even if it's just not a Warhammer title. I think I would be pretty interested to see how things can go. Level size does vary. I managed to complete some in 6 minutes, some of them in like 15 minutes. It does depend. And admittedly, and I feel no shame in this, a lot longer when I was looking around for secrets. Yeah, because, you know, it's fun. Although I am not going to tell you how much time I spent on that because, yeah, there's a little bit of shame in one of them. But, yeah, the levels are quite large from what I've seen, and that's a great thing. Everything feels very high impact. There's not a lot of time in the levels where it just feels downtime, barring some rooms here and there, which is just basically heal up and get ready for the next round type of thing. The game autosaves, so when you die, you come back. There is not a mission failure, but there is some cases where you might die, and this is a bit of a negative. It takes you back to the autosave, and yeah, you might have gone into that save location with very little health, so you're just going to keep repeating to die. You can easily just restart the level, but the problem is that some levels are a little bit too long, and yeah, if you go from the very beginning, it's going to be a bit of a slog to get back to that. But I feel like if that's my only negative, then that's actually a good thing. At least that's the only negative I've been able to see so far. I will be playing this more. We're going to do a big 8-hour live stream because it's something that I'm pretty excited to be able to play. I don't feel like the game has any punishment there, at least not that I've been able to see. There's a lot of really fun enemies and really fun encounters. At the end of this map, you're going to see basically a deathmatch, which I really enjoyed. Constant enemies swarming me, and I was pretty much trying to find a location where I'd be able to shoot enemies. There are some cases where you'll get to locations that the enemies can't get to you, which you can be smart about it, but the enemy will not be able to hit you. So yeah, you can cheese the AI a little bit, which is kind of understandable for these types of games. Now, I am being overwhelmingly positive, and I understand that that can sound a bit weird. I will also admit that I did get a key from the publisher directly, but that is in no way, shape, or form going to influence what I'm saying. Keep in mind that this is a publisher that I've butted heads with a lot. Remember Necromunda Under Hive Wars, Necromunda Hired Gun, which I quite liked and then got broken on release. Under Hive Wars was just horrendously broken prior to release and then on release too. But this one seems good. Obviously it's a different developer to those, and that's a good thing. That's actually a very good thing. What you're hearing from me here is genuine thoughts, genuine reactions from what I've been playing so far. I haven't fully completed the game. I've not really had the time, as you are aware by this point. Total War Pharaoh has just gotten announced, and obviously my priority is Total War over anything because that's my main source of content. That's the issue when you're a creator on YouTube and you're kind of known for one specific thing. Although I do want to branch out to more Warhammer stuff, as that was always the intention, and this game is definitely one of those reasons why. Let me give you some final thoughts regarding this. Okay, so you're playing as a Space Marine, you're basically going for Mary Sue mode because you're a one-man army. That's always kind of expected with these types of boomer shooter games. So yeah, I know some people might not be keen on that, but I mean, yeah, it's like Doom and stuff, right? It's always one character, and I think that works out quite well. Enemy variety is very, very good. The fact that you get more enemies as you start progressing also feels really, really good, as you're not fighting the same thing over and over. Even in the first few missions, you're already fighting a decent variety. The first one, you're fighting just a few. Second one, a few more get added in. And I think that's very, very good, because it keeps you from getting bored, right? A big issue with these old school type of games, obviously no shade to the developers of the 90s games, because they're obviously working with what they could do, but an issue there was that you'd be fighting the same thing over and over and over again, and you'd just get pretty bored. Every mission every now and then would have something new, but you might remember those old school games, right? Not just Doom, but like, remember that Fifth Element game? Because I do. God, this game is really making me feel my age right now. But yeah, the variety wasn't big, whereas here it's great. Honestly, I like the fact that I have to think on how to deal with each enemy. You're not going to be standing still when you're dealing with a flamer or a very large plague toad, as it's going to be able to hit you quite hard. With a Terminator, you want to keep on the move unless you can stun it, because if not, it's just basically going to gun you down. Which there is a Terminator boss here, well, mini boss, because it's not really a boss, it's just introducing the new unit, which I think is kind of a good way to do so. And you can stun it as long as you're getting a lot of shots on it and you're holding it down. It does teleport around the battlefield though, which is kind of cool. Now, when it comes to level design, absolutely phenomenal. Again, it's not high-def graphics, but it is definitely got that Warhammer feel to it, which is absolutely wonderful, because there are other games with higher quality graphics for the Warhammer setting which do fail at this. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Sound design is incredible too, because it's got that 90s metal vibe, like I said before, but I know it doesn't mean a lot to people, but it's, you might remember the days of Warhammer Records and stuff, right? The bolt thrower stuff, obviously a little bit of Saxon. You get that feel here, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. The game's not too large, but it's large enough to feel satisfying. The story is pretty damn good too. Again, no spoilers on that, but I would go and say that it's better than some Black Library novels that we get. So yeah, that's probably quite the compliment. Then again, some Black Library novels aren't really great. So is this game right for you? If you like boomer shooters, if you like Doom, Fifth Element, all those old school games, you're gonna love this. Yeah, it is basically go in, do as much damage as possible, and just go through the levels. There's not too much thinking involved here, at least from what I've seen. But yeah, if you're on that 90s nostalgia kick, you're gonna love this. If you like Warhammer 40,000, which I imagine a lot of you do like, then you're gonna like this too. If you like Space Marines, and more specifically Ultramarines, the Mary Sue of them all, yeah, you're gonna love this, because, yeah, this is a Space Marine game, essentially. Some people even call it the unofficial sequel to Space Marine 1, or prequel to Space Marine 2, but I'll let you discover reasons for that why. I think that this is a good game. Honestly, as far as Warhammer goes, Warhammer video games in specific, this ranks up fairly high on my list. I'm actually pleasantly surprised, which is super, super weird considering that, yeah, you know, the bar has not been set too high, but this actually goes fairly high up. If there are devs from other Warhammer games watching this, this is the standard that people want. People don't want Flash, people want a good game. I'm looking forward to see what this studio does in the future, because this is promising, and I'm more inclined to check out their other projects, even if they're not Warhammer related, just because I feel good about this. The game itself releases today, and this is definitely something that you're going to want to check out. Once again, if you're into boomer shooters, or if you're into Warhammer, it's definitely something that you're going to want to try out. I really hope everything works as intended on launch. If you're still not sure, I'll be streaming it once again. If you want to check it out before you buy on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. I do not have buy links. I don't have buy to support the channel and so on. I'm not trying to make a quick buck from you. I am just giving you my impressions from what I've seen from the game so far. I'm going to let the rest of the battle play out now, as you guys might want to listen to it in its full glory, as loud as it can be, because this game is kind of loud. And yeah, Have a great day, guys. I'll see you all again very, very soon. And just a heads up, obviously Skulls is coming up, so there might be some news for Warhammer related stuff coming into this channel and obviously on our live stream near you later this week.